With the state titles looming, the Newcastle and Central Coast branches combined for the carnival to give competitors a real test. Swansea Belmont's Josh Blair looked all too comfortable though in the Taplin relay. The current Uncle Toby's Ironman Series leader helping his home club to first before winning the Ironman himself. It wasn't so easy in the reserve surf boats. Terrigal got right off course, lost its sweep but picked up nobbies in what was a messy finish all round. Another Swansea Belmont clubby, Lisa Wright, won the women's flags, but everyone will be chasing a state title during early March in Sydney. Round 7 of the Peter Surfboat Series was also contested on the day, with the Swansea Belmont crew again showing it had lost little during a 12-month layoff, winning the A men's. The women's was a real one-way affair, with Avoca powering away from the start and never looked like losing. Caves Beach second and still in the running with one round remaining. There's 2 events left on the Nutrigrain Surf League series, but Adrian Tobin may only see one of those, flawed with an old calf muscle injury.
Yeah, I haven't had much luck this year, and it's a bit of a shame because I feel really good. I felt great yesterday. I thought I was a big show to have a win. I always do well at Surfers Paradise.
It's thought Tobin will be out for up to 4 weeks. The next round is in 3.
The job of actually building the John Hunter campus began in 1985. After enduring the Newcastle earthquake, it finally took its first patients on January 15, 1991. Today, just some of the people who've dedicated their lives to the hospital gathered to celebrate its 10th birthday with a song.
The staff here are so committed. They work extremely hard under enormous pressure, but they're always coming up with new ideas of better ways to do things.
Times haven't always been so bright. Over the years there's been bed closures, industrial action and times when the quality of care has been called into question. But it's also been 10 years full of people being given a second chance at life and research that's furthered the eternal fight against disease.
The community can really be assured that when they have a health problem, if they come to John Hunter, they're coming to one of the best in the world.
Staff who've been at the hospital since it opened cut the birthday cake. One, Malcolm Davies, has been there even longer, starting on site as an engineer in 1987.
Well, nothing's making me move yet, so I think I'll be here for a while yet.
Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
It's said practice makes perfect, and for these players the old adage runs true. Rebecca Stevenson and Helen Beattie are the number 1 and 2 ranked amateurs in the country, with Stevenson also here to defend her Lake Macquarie title.
Anyone can win this tournament, so I'll just go out there and just play the best I can. I just want to shoot in the low 70s and maybe high 60s. You don't know.
It's a wait-and-see approach for Joanna Wally. Last year's runner-up hasn't played tournament golf since October.
People say, what's your form like? I mean, on the practice field it's great, but you don't really know until you get the first round out the way type thing.
Cherie Burns is no stranger to the Belmont course either, but she plays this year's tournament as a professional and with the pressure that comes with it.
Yeah, well, I turned up today and people saying, what are you doing here? And I know they're going to be watching to see what scores I shoot and whether I beat the amateurs, but I'm not really out here to do that. I'm just out here for a bit of experience.
But the one many will have to watch is the Belmont course record holder, Carly Butler. The Sydney-sider coming into the tournament after winning the New Zealand match play title just before Christmas. The 4-day championship starts Thursday.
It was time for the Knights to put on their best pose this morning at the annual sponsors photo shoot. For Paul Marquette, though, it had special significance. It was the first time he donned a Knights jersey since leaving the club in 1996.
Yeah, it is good to be back. I've been enjoying the pre-season and good to have a good time with the boys again.
Marquette started in the under-21s in the Knights' debut season before moving on to the Mariners and then Melbourne. But while the 31-year-old returns to his old club as a seasoned veteran, he says he expects to be competing against the younger players rather than giving them fatherly advice.
No, I just go about my business quietly. I'm their advisor, no.
But you haven't been called on to...
No, I don't do any of that.
Today also marked the Knights' annual induction day, players being briefed on all aspects of the club, from the code of conduct to membership programs. Colin Baldwin, NBN News. With goalkeeper Brad Swancott playing at being a striker and John Bonavolia playing with his shirt, he'd be correct for thinking last night's training session was a light-hearted one.
It was more camaraderie and spirit, and as I say, a lot of other clubs, if they've gone through the run that we've had, would have been down for good.
Unfortunately, though, some players are temporarily down for the count. The 16-man squad named today includes no less than 4 new additions, with Peter Sekena suspended and Anthony Surgeon and Chris Zorisic injured. However, a pain-killing injection may yet see the Kiwi defender on the park.
It's a 10-minute proposition, 1 minute I think I should play him and the next minute I don't.
While he hates to see his teammates injured, Peter Junknowitz is looking forward to the prospect of again stepping up to first grade.
You've just got to do the best that you can. I mean, Lee puts you on to do a job and you've just got to do the best you can to do it.
Meanwhile, Lee Sterry today responded to speculation about his future.
Max Dumsey down the back section. Has Dumsey got an answer for the young charger as he dives through on the inside, heading up to the main straightaway now, and Brooke Tatnell setting up Dumsey, who goes around. Dumsey has a half now. Robbie Farr in fourth. The checkered flag is out, and Brooke Tatnell takes the win for round 13. World Series sprint cars for Shell.
It was a small but vocal protest by Bullaroo residents concerned their local GPs are shutting up shop and moving their practice to Warners Bay.
The need is here. Morally the need is in Bullaroo, which has no other doctors.
A residents' action group is particularly worried about the effect of the closure on the suburb's large population of elderly residents.
And it would affect the town and its people, especially the old people who have difficulty mobile, getting around, and will have great trouble getting to Warners Bay even with public transport.
Dr Arne Sprogus from the Hunter Urban Division of GPs says the Hunter desperately needs more doctors.
There's at least 40 positions, that's 10% of our entire doctor population available in the urban part of the Hunter as we speak, and in Cessnock it's more like 20%.
He blames the federal government for underfunding Medicare as a major factor contributing to the shortfall. He also predicts more practices will close or merge in the near future.
Look, I think we're going to see more of this. We've seen it at Medowie, we've seen it at Cessnock, we've seen it in other parts of the region. There's going to be more of this in order that good services can be provided where doctors are prepared to work.
Tanya Carlisle, NBN News.
It seems the motor industry is on the road to becoming more appealing to women. While the state government is introducing ways for it to become more gender-friendly, some business people in Newcastle have already found the secret to success. Making car buying easier and more pleasant for women can be as simple as understanding their needs.
Not a lot of women want to know what's under the motor. They just want a car that's reliable, it's going to get them from A to B, and it's going to be a nice-looking car.
Janelle Kirk says she understands the complaints of women, but having a female salesperson was the answer to her problem.
It made it much easier, and also when you actually pick the car up, a lot of things that were explained to me that probably wouldn't normally be explained.
The main concern is they want a good deal. They want to be looked after, they want to be respected, and just the way they're treated. And the first impression when you walk into anywhere, whether it be buying a car or buying a dress or a pair of shoes, your first impression makes a big difference.
But the husband and wife team at this dealership says treating everyone with respect is good business.
None of us likes to be patronised, male or female, so I'd like to think that we treat them all the same and that they all enjoy coming here.
Brooke Webster, NBN News.
Rachel McMillan's first day at the University of Newcastle was class free. She lodged her university enrolment form today for the Bachelor of Nursing course.
Pretty scary, pretty big, but should be interesting.
Rachel was just one of almost 5,500 to receive a first-round offer from the university. Demand for places statewide fell by about 2% this year, but the University of Newcastle has defied that trend with an increase in applications of at least 1%.
Newcastle itself is a very good place to live and to study, and I think it reflects partly on the availability of accommodation, good lifestyle, people travelling from other cities or indeed from the country and whatever, often happier to live in Newcastle than in the major cities.
The Uni Student Inquiry Centre is now mostly fielding phone calls from people who didn't get their first preference.
A bit of a stressful time for them if they didn't get their first preferences, so the next couple of weeks is a big testing point for them.
The second round of offers will go out in a fortnight, not that Rachel has to wait around for that.
I don't think it's necessary, I've always wanted to go to university, but if I didn't get the mark I was going to apply for TAFE or try and get a full-time job, but I was happy that I got in.
Catherine Turner, NBN News.
From the outside, the replica 1960s Queensland train looks more like a museum piece than a working mode of transport. But on the inside, it's easy to see that the Oriental Express operated train is nothing but class.
It's actually full silver service dining. They have full butler service on board with their cabins. Everything is taken care of. They just have to sit back, relax, enjoy the ride.
And the Hunter is set to become a regular stop for the train over summer, which travels to popular tourist destinations between Brisbane and Sydney 3 times a month.
It's one of those things I think you put in your want book to do the Orient Express, whether it's in Europe or here, and the opportunity came, so we grabbed it.
This train is capable of carrying up to 100 passengers, but on this leg of the journey, only 8 people are enjoying travelling in the lap of luxury. Operators plan to offer a service which extends right across to Perth within a few years, but for now it's only East Coast travellers enjoying the ride. Adam Harper, NBN News.
Just got to mention Bathurst, King of the Mountain, and their fathers, and that'll certainly remind them if they forget. So.
The main reason, though, that I enjoy this is that not so much raising the money, it's just that it gives people the idea that hey, we can do something ourselves to help in the community.
The most consistent over the first 3 rounds, it seems only a disaster could rob Vicky Yulin of this year's crown, with another subpar round today of 71. The real battle now is for the minor placings, with 3 shots separating 4 players. Nikki Campbell is 1 under for the tournament, while Carly Butler also slipped back a stroke to be even heading into the final round. She joins Rebecca Stevenson at square, after the defending champ dropped 3 shots today. The best placed local, Julie Swanson, is 3 over for the tournament. The state's best bush-based athletes hit the Glendale Regional Athletics Centre today for the first country titles held outside of Sydney for 37 years. A 55-year-old record was broken in the women's shot put, but headwinds made things tough in the sprints. Newcastle's Lee Clark beaten by just 1/100th of a second by Wollongong's Troy Davies. Madawi's Jackie Munro went into the women's 100-metre final after winning the hurdles. She too was just pipped by Central Coast's Jessica Knox. Competition continues tomorrow.
And the workers heard the explosion and went out
quickly not going near it in case it was dangerous. Called the fire brigade in.
A 7-shot leader at the start of the day, Yulin was going to take plenty of catching, especially when she birdied the first. But Royal Canberra's Nikki Campbell threw down the challenge. Beginning the day 1 under, 5 front 9 birdies got her within 3 strokes of the lead at the turn. The door opened on the final hole when Yulin was forced to take a penalty after a wayward drive. She quickly got herself out of trouble though and putted out a bogey to card a final round 71 and win with a tournament record 9 under. Campbell's final round 66, a course record. Tough conditions for sprinters today at the Country Athletics Championships at Glendale, but Newcastle sprinter Lee Clark continued his impressive form, winning the 200 metre final. The 800 metre finals were also great for Hunter-based athletes, with Michael Barwick making it look easy as he took the men's crown in 1 minute 54 seconds. While in the women's, Trish Holtz held off a fast-finishing Angela Sheen to take the win, with Hunter Club runners actually filling the top 4 placings.
Toronto firefighters attended 480 call-outs last year, and as you can see, 2001 won't be any quieter. But the brigade was only too glad to take a little time to loan its shovel to local state member Jeff Hunter today for the turning of the first sod for a new station, which also marked the end of a long fight for Toronto captain Doug Brady.
17.5 years we've been fighting. We've gone through a lot of blokes then, but every fellow that comes in says, when we get a new station.
Situated on the corner of Wangi and Ridge Road, the $1.26 million station will feature the latest technology, 2 engine bays and even a gymnasium. Its location will mean better response times than the cramped 45-year-old Brighton Avenue station and no more wake-up calls for neighbours. The move is part of the New South Wales Brigade's strategic plan to upgrade Hunter operations. Last week's blaze at Marmong Point showing just how important those operations are.
It was a stand and deliver stuff. The fire came at them at a rate and they stood there and they defeated it, and that's a service to the community that we provide.
Construction should be finished in 6 months. Colin Baldwin, NBN News. Impulse surrendered the Newcastle to Melbourne route to Qantas last April when its rival introduced new jets. Today the regional carrier was back in the trenches and bringing with it its 717s.
Qantas came on with bigger equipment and we're back with bigger equipment again, so we'll give them a run for their money.
Executive Chairman Jerry McGowan was joined by Paul Harrigan in announcing the daily Newcastle to Melbourne return service today. Aimed at morning business and leisure flyers, the $199 one-way double for return ticket includes a brief Sydney stopover and comes in dearer than the airline's own prop to Sydney 717 to Melbourne service at $125. Impulse today also signalled its intention to resume Newcastle to Canberra and Newcastle to Tamworth prop flights and a new service to Taree.
I guess last year our focus was very much getting the jet service up and running in opposition to Ansett and Qantas, and we're very comfortable with that operation now, and we think now's time to get back to our heartland.
The local business chamber and Newcastle Airport have welcomed the move.
Yeah, it's another vote of confidence in the airport, another airline bringing another jet service in here.
The new flights begin on February 12. Colin Baldwin, NBN News.
It came at the end of what was a forgettable night for United, but it'll still cost Todd McManus his spot in Newcastle's lineup this weekend, with his fourth booking earning him an automatic 1 week suspension. Vasco Trusevski's 2 yellows and subsequent send-off also takes him out of calculation for Friday night's game against the Eastern Pride, but his coach can't fathom the second booking.
Laughable, really, but at the end of the day it was 0-3 at that time, so I was disappointed in the decision because then you're dead set, got no hope.
A betting man would say the same of the team's chances of making the top 6, but Sterry refuses to believe they're out of contention.
No? Why would it be? There's still plenty of rounds left yet. But certainly it puts a dent in.
While the immediate playing future of defender Chris Zoricic is unclear, Peter Sekenis and Anthony Surgeon both returned to training tonight and should be available to play against the Pride to try and get some back.
We've got to find that good positive win.
Dam levels have dropped significantly after extremely hot weather, very little rain, and now record levels of water use.
Of our very large demand days in the last decade, we've had 75% of them in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
And while Hunter Waters says it's no cause for alarm, the increased demand is leading to low water pressure during peak times in some households. For short periods, several properties have been without water.
It'd be like when we have a water main break, the water wouldn't have enough pressure to push up to their property. But they are relatively few, and we're working very hard to deal with those.
Overnight, the supply to Madawi residents was affected after a pump failure at Williamtown. Crews finished installing a supplementary system today. Hunter residents are now being urged to use water wisely and restrict outdoor use, such as watering the lawn to either early morning or late night. And while it's hoped this will help to return flows to normal, Mother Nature also has a role to play. A cool change would mean a drop in demand significant enough to get consumption back to normal. Brooke Webster, NBN News.
Up against 198 players from across Australia and abroad, local golfer Nick Flanagan showed skill beyond his 16 years to take the early lead amongst the morning starters. He eventually finished with a 5 under 67 to be well in contention for the days ahead. Also showing some form, reigning champion Scott Strange with this approach shot on the 4th. But in the end, it was his Kiwi playing partner Gareth Patterson who deserved the applause, this eagle helping him to finish 3 under. Fellow international Craig Williams from Wales went 1 better on 4 under. 2 years ago, Brad McIntosh beat rising star Aaron Baddeley here in a playoff for the junior title. Today, the Sydney sider again showed what he's capable of, finishing 6 under. But with the level of talent on offer and 3 days to go, there's a lot of tournament left.
Well, the cut's tomorrow, yeah, so when you're around that mark here, it is crunch time, and then go through the weekend, and then crunch time starts about after the 9th hole on Sunday.
Colin Baldwin, NBN News.